Hello, my painting friends. This is Shannon with Black Sheep House. In today's video, I'm going to be tackling how you get a sprayer quality finish without a sprayer. It seems impossible, but trust me, there is a way, and it's not too difficult. It is beginner friendly, and so is this paint recipe that I'm going to be sharing. It's a one-step paint recipe that will, if you haven't used it before, it's probably going to change the game for you and all of your DIY projects or maybe your business. Two things come up a lot of times when you're trying to paint something, and that is the price of paint and the time it takes for the paint to dry. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that, trial and error, over and over again, until finally finding what really works and what is the most simple process for getting professional results on cabinets and furniture. Let's get to it. So first things first, you're going to be making up a batch of this one-step paint recipe. I have a whole video where I just talk about this recipe and nothing else, but I'm just going to quickly show you guys the recipe using 1 part paint, 1 part primer, and 1 part clear coat. They're all water-based products. The paint is just from Lowe's. It's nothing fancy. I do like the HGTV Sherwin-Williams paint that they have at Lowe's. It's really a great paint. And the primer needs to be water-based. Kilz is great. I also have used Zinsser, and then the clear coat. As far as the sheen goes, whether you get like a matte or a semi-gloss or a satin, though that's a personal preference depending on how much shine you want on your end product. Now, I'm going to be putting a clear coat on mine if I do like a cabinet, but on a dresser or something, I'm just going to use the one-step paint and call it a day. Sometimes I use wax. Now, this is a bit of a bonus ingredient. You don't have to use this for the recipe to work, but this is calcium carbonate, aka chalk, and chalk powder. And it basically just makes your paint adhere even better. And it also gives it a bit of a sandability and a more matte finish. So I enjoy adding this to my paint recipe, but you do not have to be successful. I like to mix this up ahead of time before I'm going to do my painting, because all the mixing and everything and shake, I like to shake, shake. I like to shake my cans of paint if they've been sitting around for a while. So I'll mix this up a couple hours before I'm going to paint so that it has time to let those bubbles come out of it. One good thing about the application method that is my favorite, which is the paint and then roll with a foam roller method, is that if there are any bubbles in the paint or even on the surface after you've painted it, that you're going to pop those bubbles with the foam roller, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second. All right, so I made sure that these cabinet doors were fully cleaned, and you can use some dish soap, a degreaser, and then remove any residue that's left behind from the cleaner that you used, because you don't want that affecting your adhesion. I also want to mention that if you have like an oak or a grainy type cabinet that you're trying to paint, you may want to fill in the grain with a grain filling product, and I'll link a couple of those. But I'm also going to be doing like a full kitchen cabinet makeover soon for the channel, where I do some oak grainy cabinets and show you how to get those like nice and smooth and painted and do the whole thing. But yeah, you'll need to fill in any grain if you don't want that grain to be there afterwards. These cabinets don't have that. They are a nice smooth wood finish, and all I had to do was clean them, lightly sand them with 300 grit sandpaper, and then I cleaned them with a baby wipe to remove any sanding residue. Baby wipes are great for removing buildup and gunk as well. They're heavy duty cleaners. You wouldn't think so, but baby wipes can really get the job done. All right, so here are all my sponges that I've been collecting over the past few weeks for this video. I super geeked out on the internet and just, just took everyone's recommendations on how to get a smooth finish, okay? As well as just some cockamamie ideas that I had in my head that I thought might work. It was super fun to do this for me, and I have my personal favorite, which you guys know. I like to paint the surface with a paintbrush and then use a high density foam roller like this one. from Whizz, and that's my preferred method. I'm going to be, of course, comparing that with the other methods as well in this video. But if you don't want to geek out with me, then you might don't just watch me apply it with the foam roller and then move on. But I know some of you guys are going to be curious what these other rollers have to offer. I was excited about this gray one. It said furniture on the packaging, so I was excited because it said shelves, metal, and furniture. And it looks really heavy duty, like a little bit more durable than just the traditional foam roller. I got these off Amazon, and they are actually for wax on a car. They're a little bit more like dense foam. It's like really, really firm. Using the inside of these cabinets, because I'm actually going to paint the outside of the cabinets at some point. But yeah, I just use the inside. It's the same finish, the same color wood, the same feel, everything was the same. So that might be a good hack for you to practice on the inside of something that you want to paint in the future. Just using a synthetic bristle brush, paintbrush. It's not an expensive one. I can link it. You can find them on Amazon. Walmart has them, and they're great. Very, very, very affordable, like $1. I'm going to paint it on first and then use the foam roller. This is my preferred method. This is what you see me do on my channel like 90% of the time. I will apply with the synthetic paintbrush, and then I will go over it with the high density foam roller. I have used pretty much every high density foam roller there is from Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, etc. And the Whizz, that's the one I'm using today, is the best. It's actually the best. I've even used the dollar store foam rollers and got pretty good results. So the foam roller, you can get away with using an affordable foam roller, but hey, you know, I do this for a living, so why not have the best of the best here? And they're not expensive. It's like $5 for a pack of 2. So even the more upscale foam roller is still really, really, really affordable. And here's my technique. Is my go-to is always just to roll your roller gently on the cabinet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just roll the crap out of it. Honestly, you can't roll too many times, in my opinion. What the roller and doing so much rolling does is it removes some of the paint, and so that you have a nice, sort of what appears to be like a sprayed on finish. It's so light. Of course, with such a light finish, you'll need to do a couple of coats, but you're going to have to do that anyway. As you can see here, I need to do some more rolling because it's starting to bubble up, and I've got some little fisheye type looking bubbles that happened, and you can just roll them right out. It's always a good idea when you're just starting to learn this technique and method. Doing light colors is going to be the easiest way to get even finishes, and dark colors are going to be a little bit more challenging for you to avoid streaks and marks that the roller may leave behind. As you get better and a little bit more gentle with your application method, the roller marks will go away and you'll get really good at doing dark colors as well. But it might be a good idea to start with a light color if it's your first attempt. Okay, so this next one is the roller that I'm actually really excited about. It's a foam roller wrapped in that like gray fuzzy material, like a microfiber type material. It looks like this one leaves a little bit more paint behind, and so I could probably do a project and have fewer coats. It's still a pretty smooth finish. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with it, and I'm definitely willing to go back to the drawing board and test this roller out, like using full-on paint instead of the roll-off paint method. But yeah, I think it did a pretty good job. Obviously, the foam roller is smoother. It's more sprayed on quality type finish. But this one's not bad. Not bad at all. And who's to say that with a different type of paint, it might work miraculously? I'm just basing everything off of my one-step paint recipe that I'm going to be using like 99% of the time. Okay, this next one is the Velour Roller. already it's sort of getting stuck when I'm trying to roll, and so maybe that's the roller that I'm using. The roller handle might not be working as well, but I'm guessing it's just because it's kind of small and there's not a lot of grippage going on, so it's sliding across the paint. Maybe a user error here, maybe it just isn't the right product and paint combo, but this one's not winning any awards from me. All right, the next one is the blue sponge from Amazon. This is highly recommended in the furniture painting community, and I know that Dixie Belle has like a similar product, and theirs is probably better than the one off Amazon even, without the nylon wrapped around it. So I'm using the side that doesn't have the nylon wrapped around it, and I gotta say I am disappointed. This left like little divots, you can see them, as I did the dab, dab, dab method. But it might be great for applying with like a swiping action versus a dabbing action. Now I'm going to use the side that has the nylon wrapped around it, and it's just a dollar store nylon. Maybe a higher quality nylon would yield different results, and if you have any advice, please leave it below in the comments. I love learning. The craziest thing happened. We actually had to go to the emergency room while I was filming this video, like right in the middle of it. That's why there's a spot in the middle of that last square and I don't have the footage because my daughter had to go to the emergency room. She was totally fine, but it was kind of scary. Anyway, but that last method with the nylon wrapped around the blue sponge worked really nicely and yielded a great finish. Pretty pleased with that. As far as I'm concerned, that is number 2. As far as winning this competition goes. This next one was a bit of an impulse, just random idea, was to use this beauty blender. It's the biggest beauty blender that they sell, and I thought, hey, maybe it'll work. It might just be the way I'm using it and it's absorbing too much paint, but it left all these little egg marks on the finish, and so while it did leave a really smooth finish, like super smooth, it just, all those little egg marks, that was the deal breaker for me. So maybe in a tight spot or something, but for what I paid for the beauty blender, I don't think it's worth it for the furniture painter, you know, or cabinet painter, to be purchasing something like this for this kind of project. Womp womp. It just gets more and more random as we go on. I have another one here that I'm going to do. Actually, I have like 4 more that I'm going to do. So this is the kind of stuff that would keep me up at night, and I just had to get it out of my system and try these things because otherwise I couldn't let it go and just know I had the best method. And also, if you guys have a better method or a method you want me to try out on like the next one or something, let me know, because you guys, I like making videos, and I might do another video where I just do a battle of whatever processes. This is the Walmart just like powder sponge applicator, and I was optimistic about this one as well. I like really had high hopes for this process in my mind, and at first it seemed to be working, but then it like got full with paint and ultimately left these orange peel marks that I just wasn't super happy with. All right, this next one is a dollar store sponge with a nylon stocking wrapped around it from the dollar store as well. And I have to drive a ways to get this particular sponge because they don't sell it at all the dollar stores. There's only one on the west side of town that sells it. So you might have to explore a little bit to find the items that you want at your dollar store. And I use this sponge and nylon a lot for clear coat application, but I wanted to give it a shot and dab, dab, dab with it for the one-step paint recipe and see what happened. Ultimately, it left a lot of bubbles. So I would say with this technique, you just want to stick with swiping and no dabbing with the nylon and dollar store sponge. That is a big no, but swiping was a yes. Next up, we have a favorite in the painting community. It's the foam applicator brush, whatever you want to call it. It leaves very few brush strokes behind. They're wonderful for their affordability and accessibility. The list goes on. I find that when using these, that they after you've been using them for like a few minutes, they start to get full of paint and they get a little floppy. I prefer them when they're like more firm at the beginning. I will usually keep several of these on hand and swap them out if they start to get kind of like floppy on me. That's just what I do, but again, you can see brush strokes. They're there, but they are not super pronounced, and with a matte finish, it's shiny right now, you know, because it's wet paint. With a matte finish, you probably won't be able to see those. There were a few bubbles in that finish as well, but I didn't zoom in on them. We'll see if they pop as the paint dries. Now we have this heavy-duty foam wax applicator. It's actually for buffing your car, and I had super high hopes for this one. I loved that it had a handle because I hadn't seen anything in the sponge area that had a like heavy-duty handle, and it like velcros on, and then you can change out your little pad and go to the next pad. So the car industry may be a little bit further advanced than the painter industry as far as I'm concerned, because that handle was super nice to work with. I did some dabbing. It definitely left an orange peel texture, and then I tried the swiping method. I think because it was a little bit heavier duty of a sponge, it pulled away more paint, and so when I swiped, it was a lot smoother than some of the other swiping sponges that I did before. And just for comparison, I did a just plain brush strokes with a paintbrush section to compare it all against. Okay, here's one coat dry. We have the paintbrush. We have the wax applicator. It looks a little splotchy. We have the foam applicator, look pretty smooth. We have the sponge with the nylon, look pretty smooth. The makeup applicator looked splotchy. The white foam high density looks really smooth. And this one with the gray fuzz looked okay. The velour looks splotchy to me. The makeup sponge, it's just not even there. It's very sheer. This one looks great. With the nylon wrapped around the blue sponge, and then the blue sponge by itself, terrible. That's my opinion on the first coat. Let's see what happens with a second coat. We have a winner. Super exciting. Fun to do this competition. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially the ones that stuck it out to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.